Hey guys, it's Mrs. Malott. We are working on chapter 5 here, all about tissues and organs and systems. We finished up the last few days on talking about all the different types of tissues, and so we are kind of moving on to organs and systems. So today, just to kind of start by reviewing what an actual organ is. All right, so we already said at the beginning of this chapter, a group of cells working together to perform a similar function formed a tissue. And so what an organ is a group of these tissues working together to perform the same function. And so that is how an organ is formed. So for instance, let's say the heart. You have the muscle, you have some tissue in there that lines the inside of the heart and all that. So all of these tissues are working together and they form the actual heart. So that's what an organ is. Sometimes organs come in ones or singularly. So the heart, there's one heart. There is one bladder, there's one brain. Sometimes they come in pairs, like the lungs, the kidneys, and things like that. There are some organs that you cannot live without. For instance, your brain, your heart, these would be considered your vital organs. Organs like your appendix or your spleen, you are capable of living without them, and so they are considered non-vital organs. So all of these organs then that have been formed, they work together and they form what's called a system in order to perform an overall function. And so that's what the rest of this chapter is we're going to be looking at all these different systems of the body. You need to be familiar with the overall function of the system, as well as the parts of each system. So the first system that we're going to look at is the skeletal system. Now keep in mind, some of these systems are interdependent. Like for instance, when we get to the endocrine system and talking about it today, it depends on the circulatory system to take stuff around to different parts of the body. Sometimes organs are part of more than one system. For instance, the pancreas is part of the digestive system, but it's also part of the endocrine system. So just keep that kind of in the back of your mind, that they depend on each other and that organs can be part of more than one system. All right, so as I was saying, the very first system we're going to talk about is the skeletal system. The overall functions of this system is to first and foremost give structure and support to our body. As you know, the bones provide the framework of our body. And these bones also protect the organs. For instance, where the ribs are, it protects our heart and our lungs and stuff that are inside of those ribs. The bones and joints also give us movement. Bones also store a variety of minerals, for instance, calcium, phosphorus, and those kinds of things. And last but not least, you may not have realized it or not, but the bones actually make our blood cells, so it's very important in that as well. The main parts of the skeletal system, as you know, are the bones, as well as joints, ligaments, cartilage, tendons. All those kinds of things are considered to be part of the skeletal system. Now, the skeletal system has two divisions, and you need to be familiar with those. One division of the skeletal system is called the axial skeleton. That's more like the center part of the skeletal system. It has like your skull, your vertebrae, your sternum, like this kind of center part. The other division of the skeletal system is called the appendicular skeleton. These are your arms and legs and the supporting things to those. So think of your appendages as your arms and legs, and the appendicular skeleton are the arms and leg bones. The next system we're going to quickly take an overview of is the muscular system. It again has two divisions. You have the voluntary muscles and the involuntary muscles, but we already learned about the two differences between those two earlier in this chapter. Of course, the voluntary ones are the ones that you can control with conscious thought. The involuntary ones are the ones that you have no control over and your body kind of does it on its own. So those would be your smooth muscles, your cardiac muscles. And as far as the different parts or the main parts of the muscular system, what your book lists as the parts of the muscular system are just the three different types of muscle tissue that we talked about: smooth muscle, skeletal muscle, and cardiac muscle. And you can kind of take a look there at the figure 5.8 on the next slide that kind of overviews those muscles that you're going to have to identify when we get to the muscular system. And so some of these pictures that you're looking at on this PowerPoint are exactly that, things that you're going to have to label when it comes time to get to that chapter. So for instance, the next chapter we're going to do is the skeletal system. You're going to need to memorize skeletal bones. When we get to this muscular system, you're going to have to memorize some of these muscles and the names of them and so forth. So just kind of start preparing yourself. And when I hand out those like labeling things, you probably need to start studying and looking at them ahead of time, because you will have to label them. The next system is the integumentary system. This is the skin and all of the kind of parts of the skin and so forth. So the integumentary system does a couple things that many people may not realize. It regulates temperature. Okay, we sweat through our integumentary system, shivering and those kinds of things. The blood vessels in our skin change in diameter, or this opening size, and they can, that helps with keeping us warm as well. All of our sensory information is kind of contained within the integumentary system. Think about your senses, and maybe some that you may not consider as your senses, things like pain, cold, heat, pressure. All of those are considered senses. All of those receptors are in your skin. When you touch something, you can tell it's hot or if it's cold. If something's touching you, you can feel if it's pain or pressure. So all of that is housed within the integumentary system. In addition to that, we have glands in the integumentary system that help lubricate the skin, help prevent bacteria from growing, and help keep our skin waterproof. So all of that kind of are the functions of the integumentary system. As far as parts of the integumentary system, you have things like skin, hair, your sweat glands, sebaceous glands, which is another name for oil glands. You have oil glands in your skin, and of course then the nails as well. And it just kind of shows you what the skin looks like. The next system is the nervous system. This system sends and receives messages. Again, nerve tissue was our message center or message deliverers. So is the nervous system. It kind of gives us the information, brings the information of what's happening around us, sends information out to how our body should respond to things. So it's the rapid messenger system of the body. As far as the parts to the nervous system, you have the nerve cells, spinal cord, spinal fluid, all the different nerves of your body, and then of course your brain as well. It's a very important and key part of the nervous system. The nervous system also contains your sensory organs, things like your eye, your ear, your nose, your tongue. All right? So the main functions of this is to send messages, interpret and process messages, and things of that sort. The good news on this chapter is that you won't have to label anything. That always makes students happy. And then the last system for today is the endocrine system. This is one that a lot of students are not very familiar with. This is one of the control systems of our body, because the majority of our organs are controlled by this system. what the endocrine glands do is they release these chemicals into our bloodstream. These chemicals are called hormones, and then they're carried throughout our body and told, our body is told what to do. They do things like regulate our growth and reproduction. They help with our body using carbohydrates and fats and proteins. They help regulate sleep, all kinds of different important functions of the body. In addition to all of that, the endocrine system also helps to regulate our fluid and electrolyte balance, helps us deal with stress and trauma and infection and those kinds of things. As far as the parts of the endocrine system, you have all the different glands that make up this system. The hypothalamus, the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the thyroid, the parathyroid, the thymus, the adrenal glands, the pancreas, and the gonads. Now, the gonads in a male are the testicles or the testes, and in the female, they are the ovaries. And then another key important part of the endocrine system are, of course, the hormones themselves. When we get to this chapter, not only do you have to know all the different organs, but you're going to have to know what hormones they produce and what each of those hormones do. It'll be one of the later chapters that we do this year, but it's a very, very important system in our body. All right, guys, so we are at a point today. We're going to go ahead and stop for today. Tomorrow we'll finish the rest of the body systems, and then we'll prepare to review and get ready for the test. All right, I'll see you tomorrow, guys.